or personal prejudices, there's still one thing that holds our world together. We are all human. We have, however, failed to see the beauty in the uniqueness of humankind, and this is only because we have been blinded by hate, bigotry, envy, and fear. We have let hatred rule us, even divide us, and fear keeps us from fixing the mess. But it's time to wake up and see that everyone is created equal, perfect, and no different. Yes, it is true that people have been born into unequal circumstances, which oftentimes leads them to make choices either good or bad, but we are still the same regardless. At this point, you may be asking, how can this be? This book will help you find out how there are no differences at all. Hello there. You should know that no matter the color of your skin, race, gender, economic rank, sexual identity, or social status, we are all human before anything else. In our diversities, we can still achieve oneness. Hatred may have ripped us apart, but there is still a way to mend the tear if only we can fix ourselves first, letting the uniqueness of the human race reflect inward, and then to the outside, healing the human race. It is important that we mend the tear, and more importantly, that we do it now. This book will serve as a guide to healing.
Good morning, good afternoon, humans. It's Evener with live with Evener Dorso. It is such an amazing evening to have you here this evening or morning, wherever you may be watching. I am super excited to have you here today. Excited about the conversation we'll get to have this afternoon. We have an amazing guest, an amazing entrepreneur who will be sharing his story with us today. When I say amazing, I mean it. What's special about my next guest is that talking, he enjoys talking about communication. He enjoys taking the opportunity to share his expertise and help others level up their communication skills to achieve higher level of success. He believes in systematically developing skills and building confidence in each speaker to improve both their message and delivery. Today, he will share with us how to optimize your communication skills to maximize your success. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ryan Warriner. Ryan, how are you?
Thank you very much. What a hearty welcome. I usually don't get that warm of a reception. I feel right at home. Thank you for that.
You are at home. I know you were in Canada, but I'm in Oklahoma. You are still at home.
I appreciate that. That's the vibe I'm getting right now. So thanks for making me feel comfortable.
So, how's Canada today? How's the weather in your area?
Oh, well, as you can imagine, it's a little bit cold,
It
and
is. Yeah, here too.
so, so I'm just outside of Toronto at the moment. And as luck would have it, there's a Santa Claus, a Christmas holiday parade going on. So you might hear some background music. I apologize for that, but at least it'll get us in the holiday spirit, right?
Absolutely. So the holiday, what a wonderful time to talk about communication.
Hmm. Absolutely. And like I said, I'm really happy you had me on your show. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I'm happy to share whatever insights I can to offer some value to your listeners and help everyone out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna have people from the audience asking you questions as well. And but sometimes they ask so many questions, I will only pick a few. So I will not bombard you with questions, but I will only pick a few questions from the audience to ask you as well. So,
Sure.
and again, I'm excited to have you, and I know you are an expert in that field of communication. So, you are a coach, published author. We'll talk about your book a little bit as well. And but the first question that I have for you: who is Ryan?
Yeah, I've been getting asked that a lot lately since I've been promoting my book. But so who Ryan is, I guess I'll answer it philosophically. I have found that what makes me most happy and makes me most fulfilled is helping others realize their full potential and achieve their goals. Sometimes it's a matter of helping them identify what they're actually after that will bring them happiness and fulfillment. And other times it's giving them the tools to get there, to navigate through sensitive situations and challenging situations, and to give them the language to articulate themselves effectively and achieve their desired outcome in any situation they find themselves in. That's really who I am.
Awesome, awesome. You put it well. Many times I ask people, "Who are you?" and they start talking about their credentials and everything else, like But you, and that tells me really that you are a true communicator. You tell the audience who you are. Who you are is not your your resume, it's not your diplomas, but who you really are, what you do, and how you add value to other people. And I like that. So, man, you already have so many kudos from me now, and I like that. So, in speaking of communication, though,
Mhm.
what was the driving force that pushed you to become a coach to teach others how to maximize their communication skills?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question because, in all truth, I did not set out to become a coach. I didn't even know a coach was a job until was I had a client list and I was in the midst of doing it on a regular basis.
Hmm.
But to answer your question first, I guess when I was a child, I remember, and I'm going a little bit deep, but when I was a child, I had a difficult time communicating, couldn't
Hmm.
express myself the way I wanted to. And I remember feeling a lot of frustration. And I remember feeling a lot of, I don't know how you'd say, a little bit of resentment and anger and self disappointment that I couldn't, I had these great ideas and I had these solutions to problems, but I couldn't communicate them. So I kind of took it into my own hands. And I realized at a young age that the better I can communicate myself, the better I'm received, and the higher probability that of a yield that's positive that I want.
Hmm.
So from that age, from a young age, I knew that I needed to level up my own communication, and I began to realize the benefits of that. The results started coming, the success started coming, and I was like, wow, all this from me, becoming more articulate, increasing my vocabulary, understanding speech patterns, and understanding psychology and what people need to hear in order for them to respond in the way that's favorable to you. All of those things started coming to me, and then I decided my first career was to be a teacher because I wanted to help others, get to where they want to go. Right. I see so many people who are they feel stuck or they feel frustrated because, they know what they want, but they're not quite sure how to get there. And I relish those. Like, I love those opportunities to give people the tools that they can get where they need to go. So that's kind of where that fire was lit, let's say.
So it started with with an idea to add value to other people.
Yeah, it started with when I realized, I'm like, wow, what I stumbled upon here, this communication, this is powerful. And a lot of folks don't have it. And actually the coaching component came quite by accident. I was vacationing in California with some friends of mine, and they had started up their own companies down there. And we were just out for lunch one day, and they were talking about a big pitch they had coming up for investment, and they needed this to keep the company afloat for the next couple of years. And so they asked, we were sitting there at a lunch table and they were asking, talking about ideas. And I just threw my 2 cents in there. I'm a professor, so I had access to a lot of research.
Right.
And from what I had, the lectures I've delivered and from everything I had kind of amassed over the years, I said, okay, well, if you want them to be inclined to write you a check and to invest, we need to get them here to this point. And to get them here to this point, we need to structure your presentation or your pitch like this. And I really kind of reverse engineered it, just off the cuff. We were just speaking like you and I are speaking now, just talking it through, and instantly they looked at me and they said, you got to be a coach. You can be a coach. And from there it kind of started just getting referrals and clients, and that's what blossomed.
And as you just mentioned that, so that would lead to my next question. What are the best ways to improve your communication skills? I mean, for someone watching right now, I'm struggling with communication. It is such a broad term when you say communication. So is
Mhm.
it just speaking the language? Is it just making signs? So what is it? And what are the best ways to improve your communication skills?
Yeah, that's another great question. I see you're really good at what you do. You're asking me perfect questions here. This is excellent. So the first thing, yeah, to be an effective communicator, it's basically the transmission of meaning. So I transmit my meaning to you, and also I have to be a good recipient of that. So that means that when I'm working with folks who aren't the greatest communicators, let's say, and they have a different style of communication, I, being a communication expert, let's say, or a specialist, it's on me to kind of decipher what they mean, what they actually want, how that's coming across. So oftentimes it involves compartmentalizing my emotions, and maybe I'm upset someone approached me and someone considered it a rude way, but it's not rude. They don't mean it rude. It came off as rude. So my job is to parse that out and then to proceed accordingly. But what I would tell anyone out there who wants to level up your communication, there's a couple things you can do right away.
Mhm.
And number one is increasing your vocabulary. So your vocabulary, I mean, the average person, the average educated person knows about 20 to 30,000 words. But the thing is, in the English language, there's over 130,000 words. So there's always room to grow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the more words, the more vocabulary you have, it's almost like more tools in your toolbox you can use to build whatever you need to build in a given situation. So the first thing you do is develop your vocabulary. You could do that in a number of ways. If you like to read, read. If you like to listen to audiobooks, listen to audiobooks. If you like to watch, I tell folks all the time that it's one of the craziest things, but the research supports it. If you watch a documentary and you have the subtitles on, okay, the both the visual cues and the audio cues, it will help stick, and you'll hear how they used it, and you'll be more comfortable to use it. And once you hear a new term that you want to use, say it out loud 5 to 6 times. The research shows once you've said it out loud 6 times, you'll be comfortable using it in a conversation, and you won't have to think about the meaning. You won't second guess yourself.
Wow, wow, wow. That is really good mic drop right here, Ryan. So now, one thing that I hear a lot about being a good communicator, also being a good listener. Now, is it more important to be a good listener or a good communicator?
Being a good listener is important, but I think a lot of folks, they say being a good listener is important. They don't really know what that means, right?
Mhm.
So what it means to me, what I would consider someone who's a good listener is someone who's receptive to both verbal and nonverbal cues, and someone can understand, can, like I said, can separate, get the meaning, and also understand why someone is speaking or delivering in the way that they're delivering, right?
Mhm.
Oftentimes when we're speaking, it's human nature, we have programs running in the background, right? I'm thinking about what I got to get from the grocery store, or I'm also thinking about what I got to do later while I'm talking to someone. So what I say might come out a little bit ums and ahs, or a little bit knows, and it might not come out fluid. But as a good, if I'm a good listener, my job's to listen to that and be able to connect the dots anyhow, and be able to respond accordingly, like I said, to help resolve the situation or get to where we need to go. A good communicator, I would always consider it speaking, listening, reading, writing, all four skills. Well, oftentimes a lot of the folks I work with, sorry, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but sometimes recently I've been brought in for a lot of training for some of the new folks coming in, the interns, and the young folks entering corporate sector, for them writing emails and corresponding to each other in a professional manner. Some, we take that for granted, and some folks don't quite know how to communicate, and there's an age difference there, some with the people who've been there for many years and the people just coming in. So there's lots of factors at play.
Yeah. And I just wanted to do a quick refresh. Right now you have about 31 people watching live. And for those who are watching live, I want to say hello. We have Ryan. He is a communication expert. So he's here today to talk to us about how we can maximize our communication skills to reach better success. So, if you are watching and you have a question, and please post your question in the comment. Ryan will be happy to answer you. And if you are watching the replay, you can always comment. Uh, those comments we will read every single one of them. We can always answer you either via social media, or you can just email, and we'll always making sure that your questions are answered. Now, Ryan, when we talk about communication now, and again, it is such a very important topic. The digital age, the age of now, as we can say, has brought many ways to communicate, such as email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Oh my goodness, so many. How has communication changed?
Well, one of the, I mean, you're right, it has changed so much, and communication has always evolved. I mean, in the past, if we look at language we used 100 years ago, it's
Mhm.
very difficult to understand now. But I think now, more, I guess, prominent, we would say the biggest change is that the immediacy, like the speed of communication has
Right.
increased. And therefore, because the speed has increased, the expectations have adjusted, right?
Right.
And so sometimes in the workplace, what I see often is there's some conflict or some that arises because of, I send you a message and you don't respond in 2 seconds, and then
Mhm.
I think, okay, what's wrong? Why is he upset with me, or what did I do, or and then all of a sudden we start to come up with reasons ourselves of why I respond to them quickly, why can't they respond to us, and it kind of can build from there, and sometimes it can sow the seeds of resentment, we say.
Mhm.
So oftentimes, I would say communication now, people are a little bit more impatient with it, and people are a little bit, they're not thinking as much about the language they use. They're more thinking about, I need to let someone know this. So the words I use isn't really important. What's important is that they know that, I need this now, something like that. Whereas in reality, there's a human being on the other end of that. And human beings don't respond to commands very well. Well, not all human beings, right? So
So on point.
exactly, exactly. So the language, or the words we choose to encode our message are very important. Even though to us it's like, yeah, I asked Johnny for the latest report and Johnny didn't send it to me, so he's up, right? It's like, well, maybe Johnny has other things going on, or maybe you saying, Johnny, do this now, is not the most appropriate way to get the result that you want, right?
Mhm.
Maybe if you let into it, Johnny, I know you're swamped, and by the way, I really appreciate you, taking me to lunch last week. I got kind of a situation over here. If you could help me out with this, I'd really appreciate it. P.S. Hope you're doing well, staying safe, something like that. That will land much better. That far greater probability of you achieving what you want than if you just say, Johnny, send me the report now. I need it. Right? For example.
And sometimes you say something, what the other person hears is completely different than what you say.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's a matter of interpretation sometimes. And that's a good point you bring up, because then you have to ask yourself, did I say something that could lead them to believe that, or were they just in a different frame of mind when they received it, right? Like, how much is on me, how much is on them? To be honest, that's probably what took me the longest to develop, to I feel pretty good at it now, but I remember it took years. I'd be self-reflective. Is this on me? How much of this is on me? Because if I can improve, I want to improve. But if it's on them, I don't want to, spin my wheels, or we call it, paralysis by analysis sometimes.
Yeah. And I know that your training, you work with businesses, entrepreneurs, and other authors as well, people who want to convey a message to an audience. Now, how would you go about simplifying a complex issue in order to explain it to a client or a colleague?
So if I were, you put me on the spot here. If I were simplifying a complex concept, the first thing I need to know is, what do I need them to know? How much of the functionality of this product do I need them to become familiar with? And how familiar do they need to be? Do they need to use it in the field, or do they just need to understand it and they're going to relay it to someone else? Right. Like, so those are questions you want to know going into it.
Right.
Once you know that, then you can determine, okay, how much information do I need to include? Bridging the gap from what they currently know, where I need them to get to. And the rest, what fills in that bridge, is your communication, is your language. So you'd go about choosing the best language that matches their style, that they're
Mhm.
familiar with. You'd go about including the components that add the most value to them, that they need to know. And then, of course, something people don't consider, it's often neglected. You need to have an idea of how much time your exchange will take, right? I can't tell you how many companies I used to, startup companies, and not so much anymore. I work with one now, but in the past I worked with many, and they have a 10-minute pitch, and they'd try to jam 50 minutes worth of content in it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you really need to be selective, and then leave a minute or two for them to ask, whatever they want to go deeper, we say like double click on whatever they want to, examine. Have the answers for that in your back pocket, but let them come to you with that. Just give them the broad strokes and the overview.
Absolutely. So the next part of the interview, we're gonna talk about your book because
Okay.
I was just on Amazon and just taking a look at the book and about effective communication and I yeah about effective communication, and I think your book can be very very useful, and I have it on the screen too. Uh, the effective presenter, and I tried to be a good presenter, you know, because I just started this live just less than a month ago, and the minute I started posting this, the November calendar was filled within just a week. Now the December calendar is completely full. Now January calendar is filling slowly, like every day, and I have people. I'm like, you know what? So maybe this live thing is something that is good. People want to see, you know, people like yourself bringing value to them. So as far as an effective presenter,
Hmm.
what are your take on that? I mean, what what makes someone an effective presenter?
Yeah. So first of all, anyone out there can be an effective presenter. Any
Mhm.
person. It's a skill that can be developed. It is not God given. It's not a talent, right? Some people might have talents that they come in with that help them, but often people misunderstand, and this is a misconception I've faced many times.
Mhm.
People view a good presenter as someone who's charismatic or someone who's an articulate, orator standing at a balcony with thousands of people below them and saying, I'm like almost motivational or inspirational, we would
A
say.
David Letterman.
Yes. Exactly, right? That's what people think of. They think like, wow, this guy's such a great presenter, right? I can't tell you how many times, and I've done this experiment with MBA students and with interns and with folks in the industry. And I showed them a clip that the speaker was just great, very animated, very clear, great language, right? And then at the end, you ask like, okay, what was the purpose of that? Do you think? And the folks I'd be interviewed, they're like, I don't know. Like, but it was great. Oh, it was fantastic. Okay, what are you supposed to do now? Do they want you to buy something? I don't think so. Are you supposed to vote for something? No. Okay, so then it wasn't effective because you don't know what you're supposed to do, right? The measure of success is, did you get your audience? Did you give them value? Did you get them where you need them to go? In every situation that you're presenting, and by the way, I focus on presentations out of all the communication spheres because presentations give people the most anxiety, and many people have the most challenges with presentations. So I chose to focus on that. But the idea of my book was it's infused with research and experiences and everything I could collect to give people a step-by-step framework. Follow these steps, and you'll have maximized your probability of success. And what is success? Success is getting your audience to do what you want them to do, right? Think about before you speak, not just before, but a couple days, like even a week before. What do I want to happen as an outcome? What's the best case scenario for me at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Is it approval, closing a sale, whatever it is, right? And then that's your target. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, my friend.
So before we take a break, we're just gonna answer a couple of questions from the audience.
Sure.
Hassan wants to know how many years does it take to become a consultant?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that's subjective. It depends on what you're consulting in and where you are. For me, like I said, I just kind of happened to it by accident. I've been a professor for about 8 years, and I would say a consultant and a coach for about 10.
Awesome, awesome. And now Monier wants to know if they can get your book online, and of course, the answer is yes.
Yes, it's on Amazon. Yes, for sure.
It's on Amazon, so it's available worldwide. Is your book world? So is it worldwide? Can someone from a different country purchase it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I'm in Canada and the US most of the time, but my publisher's in England and I have a
Okay.
and they have branches in the UK in the Europe, so wherever.
Awesome, awesome. Now this is the last question that you will answer before we take a break. And Lauren Burt wants to know if you want to show our sincerity to our client, then do you think communication also holds an important place besides skill?
Yes, absolutely. You know, many clients, well, many customers, people are naturally defensive most of the time, right? They've heard these horror stories and they don't want to be, we say, like taken for a ride. You know, they don't want to look foolish or be taken advantage of. So oftentimes communication can really diffuse that and set you up. I was speaking with a number of people in the trades recently, and they said, you know, whenever I come across a problem, I'm an electrician working on someone's house, and there's an issue, and he's like, I know I got to bring it up to them, but I also know they're going to think that I'm trying to get more money out of them. Like, Ryan, what do I do? And you know, the line is, you know, listen, I found a situation. If I were you, I would want to know about it. This is what's happened. Yes, it's within our realm. We can do it for you, but I'm sure, you know, you're an educated person, you're very bright. I'm sure you'd want to get a second opinion. So, you know, feel free, let me know, and whatever you choose to do, we can do that. Right. Right there, you're building trust, you're building credibility, you're showing that sincerity, you care about them, and you're in it for the long haul, right? You're not in it for a quick buck. You're showing them, like, I care about your relationship because this relationship is going to continue to flourish down the road.
Awesome, awesome. We're gonna dig a little bit deeper into the book, and I just want to do a quick reset. If you're watching live, what I'd like you to do for us is to share, like this live, and your friends that are watching, please like and share and comment and invite them so that they can get this value that Ryan is sharing with us for free today. So, for free, Ryan gets paid for consulting, but today he is here with us for free, adding value to you. So, we appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Before we uh, start digging into the book, Ryan, we're going to take a short break and then
Mhm.
we'll be right back, okay?
Sure.
All right. All right, we are back live with Eve Nedor. So I have my special guest, Ryan. He is a great communicator, coach. If you are looking for a coach to help your business, because if you cannot have an effective business if your team cannot communicate well, and you cannot have an effective business if you cannot communicate your business, your ideas, your thoughts well. So, this is why we have people like Ryan as a consultant. Not only can you can book to consult in with your business, but also with your with his book, you can also get consulting services that way too, by buying his book as well. So, this book, as I understand, is for only businesses, or is it also for individuals?
That's another great question. So when I wrote the book, it was kind of an ongoing process. Basically, what happened was I had so many of my clients, then my numbers kind of grew and grew and grew. And I
Mhm.
got to the point where, you know, with my professorship, and I couldn't help them all, unfortunately. And I really tried, but I found myself stretching thin. And, you know, sometimes it involved me flying all over the country to coach people before they spoke or before they pitched or what have you.
Mhm.
So I ended up, I said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put together a guide, a playbook, if you will, of the best presentation strategies. If you find yourself in this situation, this is what you do. If you want to know this, this is how you ask it. If you want to say this, this is how you frame it. So
Mhm.
I put as many strategies and proven techniques as I could in the book, so that any of my colleagues, any of my clients, anyone who needs my help, if I'm unavailable, like I'd love to be everywhere. But if I can't, then grab a copy of the book or open up to the chapter that's pertinent to you, and the answers will be there, I promise you. So that's what the impetus for the book.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'm sure after this live, you're gonna see your KDP is increasing. You're gonna see the numbers increasing because I see a lot of folks saying that, this person say, "I really want to purchase this book," because communication is so key. It is so key. Even in our everyday life, it is so key because one of the things that I believe we fight as human beings, right? We fight is because we don't understand each other.
Yes. Yes.
And what I say versus what you hear is so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there are so many things that as an expert you can talk about, is about what we hear versus what someone says, and which is even in just relationships, right? You have a friend and you said, well, I don't think, um just give an example. I don't think you are going to be that great. Now, someone else may hear that, okay, so I think you really suck. But I said, oh, I don't think you're going to be that great. But
Mm-hmm.
again, we give meaning, as you
Mm-hmm.
said earlier. We assign meaning to every word. So
Mm-hmm.
no word really have any meaning, but we as human beings, we assign meaning to what we hear.
Yes. Yes. And folks need to, I mean, if you want to become a better communicator, another thing that you will do, well, to be an expert communicator, you must do this, but people who develop their communication, they're able to separate the person from the words, right?
Mm.
As you said, because they know, like I was asked recently, on another interview, they asked me, they said, what do we not see right now that you wish people could see? And I said, intent. I really wish we could see each other's intent the way that when we communicate, because not everyone has the best language choice to convey themselves and have it be received the way that they intend it to. Right?
Mhm.
And I completely agree with you. There's so much, friction and animosity that comes to the surface from a simple misunderstanding or a simple miscommunication.
Absolutely. And I talk a little bit about empathy for people in my book, like regardless, because one of the things when I started this video cast, I don't call it a podcast, this video cast, is to really pose the question: how to heal the human race.
Hmm.
And healing the human race, communication has a major part of it,
Hmm.
because we cannot really understand each other without communicating our thoughts and ideas to each other. Without, we cannot make this world better if we don't understand each other. And understanding each other has everything to do with communication.
Hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, it's crucial. Like it really is. If you want to understand someone, you want someone to understand you, the better communicator you are, the higher probability that the message gets sent and received effectively, right?
Mhm.
I think that I mean, and I might go a little bit deep on everyone right now, so I'm sorry. I apologize in advance,
That's
but
fine. That's fine. Just don't apologize. You're here to add value.
all right. All
There's no
right.
apology for that.
Okay, good. I feel comfortable now. So sometimes people they are their own worst enemy,
Mm,
and they kind of self-sabotage, but they don't see it that way. See, many people, they operate in the world on autopilot. They navigate through their days and they just, this, I think I should do this, I'll do it. This feels right, I'll do it. I won't do that because I didn't do it last time. We fall into these patterns in this kind of autopilot, approach. But the problem is that that kind of that's counterproductive. It works against us sometimes,
mhm,
right? Like, I know if I need, something from a colleague, or if I want my boss to approve something for me, or if I'm going for an interview and I want to be the chosen candidate, for example, okay, I know that me being authentic and telling people exactly what I think of them or why I need something or whatever, that's not going to give me the best, probability of success. Even if it's, I'm within my right, right? Someone has, wronged me in the past. I have every right to say, you know what, you did this to me, I don't trust you, or what have you. But that won't help you, right? Like, people need to understand, like, that's not going to advance your cause. That's not going to help you get to your success. That's more of a symbolic victory. It's like eating a cupcake, right? It's going to make you feel good in the moment, but then afterwards, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, right?
mhm, mhm,
So if people become more self-reflective, just take a breath, think about, what I say next, will this help me reach my goal, or will this work just make me feel good for a minute, and then, it's not going to bring me any forward? If that's the case, then we really need to reevaluate our steps. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah, it's just like with everything. And before you get upset and get frustrated, before you start a fight, and you got to ask yourself, why is this fight gonna serve me, and how is gonna serve me? So that is a very good point that you made there. Now, do you also write for sales? Like, do you in your book, do you do you have a chapter in your book about how salespeople can better communicate and build better relationships?
So yeah, sales. I've worked in a lot of real estate lately and a lot of different forms of sales. But so the book, I have a couple chapters on persuasive strategies and ways to convey yourself, in a difficult situation, or in a situation where you're approaching a new customer, a new client, for example. And there's many stories in the book that talk about different types of, different strategies you can apply in a sales situation. But I don't have a chapter specifically called, chapter 8 sales. That's not,
Right.
but it, yeah.
Okay, great. So, what are the formats? Do you have this book? Do you have the book on audio? Uh, so, please tell the audience what are the format they can access this book.
Yeah, my pleasure. So definitely you can, like I said, pick it up in hard copy. But alternatively, it's also available in e-version, digital version, so you can read it on Kindle. I'm working with my publisher right now to do the audiobook. The problem is, I want to speak. I want to be the person reading it. And, they're like, oh, maybe we should get an actor. And as you could probably tell, I like to talk. I'm a little bit long-winded. So
Right.
I'm in the midst of that right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So the audiobook will is soon to come.
Yeah, the audiobook will be soon. Although I should say there's a lot of visuals in the book. Like, for example, my framework, it almost looks like a hopscotch. It looks like a pyramid, and it has different steps within there. So it's difficult to encapsulate that visual in the audiobook.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's in the pipeline.
Okay. And someone just asked a question. I don't know if we answered that already, but MD wants to know what are the characteristics of an effective communicator. Of what are the characteristics of effective communication?
Yeah, so effective communication all boils down to, did you achieve your desired outcome? Right. So if I'm okay, most forms of communication in the workplace, like if we're talking about professional communication, they're either two things. They're either to inform or to persuade, some variation of that. Right. We don't use to entertain. That's not in the workplace. But if I'm informing, or if I'm persuading, let's say informing, I consider effective communication. Did I bring people up to speed? Are they aware of what they need to be aware of in order to move on in their jobs and their roles and perform successfully? Right. That's my gauge, my success. So the characteristic of that would be being clear, using language that's appropriate for the audience. It's easy for them to understand, right? Being time aware. So oftentimes when folks are listening to you, especially nowadays, like you said, in the 21st century, we have so many things to do in a given day. We
Mhm.
don't have time to sit down and listen to the full scope oftentimes, right? So effective communication is tell me what I need to be successful, tell me how to use it if I need to know how to use it, and then let me go, right? That's effective communication.
Awesome. And I hope you are satisfied, MD. And thank you for the question, by the way. And Ryan, there are so many questions, and usually I just pick a few questions just to ask you, because if I were to ask every single question to you, we would be here for 2 hours. But this is why I encourage the audience to put the to post their question, and we can always get them answered later. Now, let's say if someone wants to get in touch with you, to contact you,
Mhm.
how can they contact you?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, my website is Professional Presentation Services. I know it's a little bit long, but it's very easy to remember.
I will
And,
put the link on the
yeah,
screen.
thank you. So if you go to Professional Presentation Services, there's a number of free resources on there. Like I record little audio clips. I also have made a number of cheat sheets that pair with the book to help you map out who your audience is, how to approach it, what's the best situation for you, what's the best language to use. There's a number of free resources on there. You can subscribe to my weekly dispatch, and every week I send out a free professional speaking tip. It's very brief, but it's 100% free. And on there you can contact me through our website. Yeah, look at that, there you go, got it up. And you could also contact or connect with me on LinkedIn. I Drop me an email, Ryan at professionalpresentationservices.com. I'd be happy to chat, happy to hear what you got going on and see if there's a way I can add value.
Awesome. And again, as Ryan is talking about the website, the website is right on the screen. So you can contact him. You have a business, you want to consult with Ryan. The website is the main channel that you can go to get a hold of him. And he is global, and he is ready to serve your business. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we are getting a little bit closer to our time. However,
Mhm.
there's a few more other questions that I would like to ask you, as far as and we touched a little bit on that. How would you go about persuading someone to see things your way at work?
So again, it really depends on who the person is and what, like how far apart they are from my way. Are they radically opposed, or is it someone who's undecided? Do I have a rapport with them already, or am I meeting them for the first time? Right, all of those kind of factors, they play into the best approach, and I
Mhm.
outline that in the book, and I go through a series of questions in the book. But ultimately the process would be to connect with them, to relate with them, to relate to them, right, and to sympathize with them, right. The first thing you need to do is you need to express an understanding of their position, an understanding of what they're going through, right. If you can do that, if you can size up, if you can gauge, who they are, what they're going through, what's on their mind, what's important to them, if you know that, if you can size that up pretty accurately, you demonstrate that to them. You say, look, I know you got this on your mind. I'm sure I would too. You got a lot going on, and this and that. But we got this situation coming up, and I could really use your support, because I think we can get to here and here, and this is where I want to go, and this is the best way I know how to do it. So what do you think about that? Would you be against that, or what are your thoughts? And when you frame it up like that, you're demonstrating that you're a friend, right? And psychologically, we call it a halo effect. So when we feel like you understand us, when people feel like we understand each other, we're more likely to view what else they say positively. So that's a good strategy to get the ball rolling and to kind of tilt the odds in your favor.
Yeah. So, and the last question I wanted to ask you, if you can summarize, and I know there's a lot, the top three things that top three problems that your book solve.
Mm. So problem number one is solving. Most people don't understand what an effective presentation is. They think it's at the end of your presentation, people say good job, or they think, oh, I got it done over and I didn't forget anything. That's a good
Right.
presentation, right? So problem number one it solves, it helps you understand what you need to do, right? Imagine solving a problem you don't know where you're going versus solving a problem you know exactly where you're going. It's just a matter of getting there. You're much more confident doing that. So that's the first problem it solves. And leading into that, the second problem it solves is it gives you the confidence, right? So instead of
Confidence.
standing up in front of people worrying, am I going to forget something? What about this? What about that? You're standing up in front of people knowing that they're going to appreciate what you've said, that you're giving them value, that they're going to thank you, and that you've left nothing out. Like there's not a chance you've checked it over, you're good. So it gives folks the confidence. That's the second problem it solves. And for the third problem, I think it really demonstrates a better approach to any kind of communication situation, whether you're closing a sale, whether you're leading a meeting, whether you're interviewing and you need to advocate for yourself, right? When if you're not sure how to set your compass and where to go, this book will help you get there, I promise.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned confidence. Uh, I speak English as a third language. Not even as a second language, as a third language. And when I was a kid, I used to be very, very shy. Very shy. I would stand in front of one person, just one person, I would be shaking. And especially when I was like, I would say 9, 10 years old, I was very extremely shy. And I remember one day I was to present in a play. I was to I had the role of a hero in the Haitian history, Bois Tonnerre, and I had to read a speech. And I started reading the speech, and I was shaking. I was like, and my teacher at the time, he said to me, "Listen to me. Here's what I need you to do. When you see them looking at you, they make you shy, right?" I said, "Yes, they make me shy. What I want you to do is to look at them in the eye. When you do that, you transfer that back to them. so now they're so now they're nervous. And secondly, I want you to know when you stand in front of them, I want you to put in your head that you have something so precious that you want to share with them. And I want you to put in your head that whatever you share with them, they need it." That changed my life. Ever since that, I don't worry about that I speak English as a third language or fourth language. I don't worry about that I have an accent. I don't
Mhm.
worry about any of that. All I worry about is that I have a message. And that message, you must hear it. It's going to be good for you. So when you speak about confidence, I'm like, you know what? You hit it right there for me.
Well, you nailed it. That's a great story. Wow, what a great experience you had with that teacher. That's phenomenal. I tell folks it's not as impactful as yours now. It kind of pales in comparison, but I tell folks that the mind hack to
Mhm.
being more confident on stage when you're speaking is to adopt a helpful mindset. I actually wrote an article for Thrive Global on this.
Mhm.
Many of us when we're up speaking, we're worried about ourselves. What if I forget? What if I look foolish? What if I, right? But if you think about it, if you were walking down the street and an elderly man or woman, fell down, you wouldn't even think about it. You'd just go to help them, right? Doesn't matter
Mhm.
if there's a million people watching. In that moment, those people don't matter. What matters is you're helping someone, right?
Yes. Yes.
We have this instinct as humans to help each other, right? So that mindset that you just articulated, you get up there, you have something to share, you have some help to give. When we're helping people, we're not nervous when we're helping. So shift yourself into that mind beforehand and just remind yourself during, like, I'm helping these folks.
Yes. Yes. That is great. That is great. So we're getting to the end of our show. So Ryan, what is next for you?
That's a great question. I'm actually going through in the next little while. I'm going to be touring through the United States. I have a couple book signings and I have a couple talks to give.
You coming to
In
Oklahoma?
Actually, I'm going to Denver, and I'm going to Wyoming, and I'm going to be in that area. So I'll ring you up if I'm going there. So a couple, yeah, I'm going to be going around there and make my way over to Florida and then back up to New York. But we got that coming up in December, and I have a TED Talk on the horizon in February, I believe. And I'm just going to continue to keep adding as much value to as many folks as I can. And like I said, thank you again for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. I really want to help people, and so that you can go out and crush your dreams, achieve what you want to achieve. Don't hold back. You got the tools. Get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the show, you are a guest. Now you are a guest today, but this is your home now.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
You're no
you.
longer a guest. When your second book uh, is released, just hit me up, and I'd be happy to have you again on the show. So thank you so much, Ryan. It's been such an honor to have you on the show, because communication is one of my favorite topic. Because in order for you to really share meaning to others, the one way you can do that is via communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. So, and I appreciate you so much, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping people be the best on stage, whether they're presenting or they just blaming somebody.
Okay.
Blaming somebody. They're blaming somebody. So I appreciate you being on the show today, and I wish you well with your tour coming soon. And I know that you're not coming to Oklahoma. I'm gonna be sad about that, but I will be watching you. I'll be watching you on social media, and get to see what you're doing, uh, and the impact that you're making in our world. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for having me. This is great. I feel a lot of love. So yeah, thank you so much. Happy to come back anytime you want.
Awesome, awesome. And the audience sent you so much flowers, and it's just I can begin to just put all of the comment, but you will be able to see all the comments on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And your audience is also watching too. So because you are also live on your social media pages as well. So do you mind sharing your Twitter, Instagram, and handle as well if someone wants to follow you?
Actually, so yeah, I'd be happy to share it. The thing is, I don't have any of those. So
Oh,
like I've always operated behind the scenes. I was just off referrals for so many years, and now my publisher says we need to get you in the spotlight. So now I'm coming out. But yeah, if anyone wants to, like I said, connect with me on LinkedIn. Come to follow, subscribe to my mailing list, and I'd be happy to help you out, stay in touch, and add some value.
okay. So you are on LinkedIn. That's very important. Yeah, LinkedIn is one of my favorite. Are you also on the Clubhouse?
Yes, I am on the Clubhouse.
Okay. What's your handle on the Clubhouse?
Oh, it's just my name, Ryan J. Warriner.
Just your name. Fantastic. All right, Ryan. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And again, if you need to be an effective presenter, Ryan is your man. And don't forget to pick up a copy of his book, The Effective Presenter: The Winning Formula for Business Presentations. Thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful evening.